Hello and welcome to Beyond the Booth, the official podcast of IFES, the International Federation of Exhibition and Event Services. I'm Lee Ali and I'll be joined in future episodes by my co-host Han Linau, and together, as part of the IFES Education Committee, we'll be exploring the people, ideas and challenges shaping the future of the global exhibition industry. In each episode, we'll be joined by industry leaders, educators, and innovators to discuss topics ranging from talent and leadership to sustainability, innovation, and business transformation. Whether you're designing, building, managing, or supporting exhibitions and events, we hope you'll find practical insights, fresh perspectives, and inspiration from across the global IFES community. In this first episode, we're tackling one of the biggest challenges facing our trade show industry today: attracting, developing, and retaining the next generation of talent. For many of us working in exhibitions, this wasn't a career we actively chose. We discovered the industry by chance, we fell in love with it, and we never looked back. But with changing career aspirations, advances in technology, and growing competition for talent from other industries, how do we ensure that future generations discover the opportunities our brilliant industry has to offer? To explore that question in detail, I'm joined by three passionate advocates for the future of exhibitions: Steve Deckel from Deckel and Moneypenny, Martijn Besaris from The Inside and ITT, and Sachel Josefson from Bemidji State University. Together, we discuss everything from talent shortages and mentorship to communication skills, education pathways, AI, leadership, and why our industry still offers one of the most exciting and rewarding careers out there. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Let's get right into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the IFES podcast with me, Lee Ali. And joining me today for our very first podcast is three very special guests and people that I've met on my travels at various industry events. And we have Sachel Josefson from the Bemidji State University in the US. We have Martijn Besaris from The Inside in the Netherlands. And we have Steve Deckel in Nashville, right, Steve? Or is it Louisville? Louisville.
Close, Louisville, yes.
From Deckel and Moneypenny. Gentlemen, it's a privilege to have you for our first IFES podcast. Welcome, and I look forward to chatting with you and debating the great debate that we have, and that is talking about the next generation, okay? Who is building the future of our exhibition industry, okay? So we've seen over the past 6 to 12 months, lots of debates about the future of the industry and the lack of talent actually coming through in the industry. So let's kick off with that. But first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourselves, tell us a bit more about how you got into the industry, what you enjoy about it, and what your frustrations are right now with the world of exhibitions. So Sachel, if I can ask you to kick off, please.
Hi, my name is Sachel Josefson. I'm a professor at Bemidji State University, which is in northern Minnesota, about 4 hours north of Minneapolis. And I got into the industry because I happened to grow up in the only town that had a 4-year undergraduate degree in exhibit design. I am originally from Bemidji. I went through the program, and I was fortunate enough to work as a temp in Las Vegas for a great company, and I also worked for them in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I was working, I was fascinated with the word experience. The word storytelling was used all the time. And I was like, well, what does this even mean? And I'm working at I'm surrounded by amazing designers. And I was asking them, and they were like, well, I'm not really sure. And so I went on a quest to try to unpack that word experience and better understand our industry, because I was spending time in the office, but I was also spending a lot of time on the trade show floor and seeing these magical places where people were connecting with their community of practice. And it was such a great industry because I loved architecture, I love graphic design, I love interior design, I love cars, and I love concerts and lighting. And the cool part about the exhibition, event, experience industry is we get to kind of combine it all into one. And so absolutely ecstatic to be a part of it. And now I carry the torch here at Bemidji State University and lead the academic pathway in exhibit and experience design, as well as a program in project management called event planning and management.
Fantastic. And what are your frustrations with the industry that you're seeing or experiencing yourself?
The frustrations I have with the industry is just kind of we are constantly worried about this ecosystem of jobs that we have in the industry, and we have so much to offer the people. Like I found my people, I found my place, I found purpose through this industry. And one of the frustrations I have is it's so invisible, it's so unknown to so many different people. And one of the things that I'm hoping that IFES can do and the EDPA can do and all is expose our wonderful industry to other people and help people find their purpose just like I did.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sachel. Martijn, over to you.
Thank you. So my name is Martijn Besaris. I'm the Vice President of Sales of the Insight Group. And I started almost now 10 years ago. Michael was searching for a sales manager internationally. And it's just like a first date. It was love at first sight. And he offered me a job. And don't laugh, Sachel. And since then, I'm really also in love in this industry because it's fantastic. It's everything you want, but what I didn't expect, because you don't know what to expect if you're stepping in this world. And I want to spread the word. So I'm also heavily involved with IFES. At IFES, I'm a board member for, and then I'm doing the ITT, so the talent team. And I'm a board member also from EDPA. So I'm really trying to make people know about this beautiful industry.
Yeah. I mean, having met you in person, you're very passionate about the industry, and it's great that you're being an advocate across all of the industry boards. So fantastic. And what are your frustrations with the industry right now?
Divine frustrations. I think we are in an ecosystem that Sachel is saying that is changing. And we need to develop. And I think our circle is really short. So we need to be sharp. We need to be reacting as quickly as we can. And sometimes my frustration is that we are unknown. And we saw it also with, for example, COVID. Nobody really knows about our industry, but it was really important to restart our economy. So that's a little bit frustrating. So that's why I think we need to be getting a bigger podium.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Martijn. Steve, over to you.
Yep, my name is Steve Deckel. I'm the CEO of Deckel and Moneypenny, and I got into the industry. I think that if there are any young people listening right now, it might be a familiar thing. I got a degree in advertising, and I applied many places, but the job market was uncertain because there was a war in the Middle East. So Iraq had just invaded Kuwait and no one was hiring. And I actually applied for a job at University of Louisville and did not get it because I would be on this podcast if I got the job, number one, not to ruin the end of the story, but did not get that job. But then Skyline called the university and asked for a reference, a recommendation, and they gave me my name. And so that's how I got a job. And I got a job at Skyline, and been in the industry ever since.
Wow. Okay, great. And what are you saying? What are your frustrations with the industry right now?
Well, I don't want to limit it to the industry. I kind of feel like it's kind of society in general. It's like a frustration.
Right.
There's so many people saying they and them instead of we and us.
Yeah.
And if we could just get the industry to say we and us, and the people that produce the shows and the people that run the halls and all of those people just saying, hey, everyone has to pull together to keep this going.
Yeah.
And that's just in general. I think it's unfortunate right now that I don't know, maybe, I mean, I was born in the 60s, but I'm definitely not a hippie, but I don't know why everyone is so siloed today.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I feel you, and I've seen that across myself. Having traveled to quite a few events and meeting different kinds of business sectors and the different age groups and things like that. There is definitely what you call a segmentation, if you like, of the age groups and so on. So let's kick off. If I can come back to you again, Steve, with a question in terms of what are you noticing? Obviously, you've been in the industry probably the longest out of all of us. So, what are you seeing? That's a compliment, Steve. That's a compliment. Okay. Okay. So you're the senior spokesperson here for the
Yeah.
industry.
Okay.
So, okay, I'm not far behind you. So that's absolutely
Okay.
fine. So I think when you look at the industry today to where it was 10 to 20 years ago, what are the key
Mhm.
differences you're noticing when it comes to attracting new talent to the industry? Okay. Because as we all said, as we all recognized in the introductions, one of the key things, it's kind of a best kept secret. And nobody
Mhm.
actually, when I started the industry, it was completely by accident. And a question that I always ask people who are in the industry is, did you actually choose a career in the world of exhibitions? And 9 times out of 10, people said no. So, are you seeing any differences between the last 20 years and today?
I think the big difference is that it's what you just, completely agree with what you just said.
Yeah,
And the career chooses you, the industry chooses you. You don't choose the
yeah,
industry.
yeah,
But what used to happen was we would talk to people who were either going to be industrial designers and work on a vehicle or fashion, or my career, I was going to be in advertising or marketing. But then I was leaning into publications, or I wanted to do a magazine, newspaper, TV, all these things. So
yeah,
I knew how to do that part of the world. And then I
yeah,
came in and applied that knowledge to events.
yeah,
Or if you're an industrial designer and you knew that you wanted to do a vehicle, you could
yeah,
apply that to building an environment. But
yeah,
what we have right now is UX design, or a lot of marketing now right now is Instagram influencer marketing, and a
yeah,
lot of the principles that you need to do good work in person, they're not really learning it the level outside of Bemidji State,
yeah,
present company excluded. A lot of people don't learn it.
yeah,
And so we feel like we have to do remedial classes on marketing
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Sachel, what are students feeling these days in terms of when they're obviously taking your degree courses? Are they actually choosing to go into exhibitions, or is it something that they're naturally discovering that there's opportunities out there?
It's really funny, just like you guys have to get people excited about working at your companies. We have to. We're in the business as well of attracting talent, and so we are taking high school students and we're
Yeah,
giving them a tour of our facility, and we're showing them the cool partnerships that we have through the EDPA and IFES, and it's interesting in that the parents think that their kids are going to be joining the circus, and the kids are hoping that they're going to be joining the circus, and but we have to attract them and tell them that there's this fantastic industry that you maybe have never heard of,
yeah,
and you are going to start taking classes, and you're going to start learning how to develop ideas, and you're going to start doing form studies that'll equate into architecture. But this industry's evolved from sawdust on the ground for profitability to coming up with ideas that make people feel alive, and to translate brands um, into meaning so that people can tie their identity to the brand. Give me a second here.
Oops.
So we're always dealing with situations where there's not a lack of talent, it's just how do we make them visible and how do we translate all the things that we're trying to do in the classroom to get people excited. We took 20 people roughly to Euroshop, and that was a great experience for students. And if we can get students that are excited about our industry, it makes hiring them much easier, because
Yeah.
if they're new to the field, if Steve hires somebody that is really talented, they can draw, they can ideate, they can render, they can communicate effectively, but after 6 months, they don't like the industry, that's a big loss. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Whereas we take students, and for roughly 4 years, we're taking them on these great industry field trips, and they're slowly just tying their identity to the entire industry. So they go from touring in high school to they're like, I'm going to be an exhibit and experience designer. I'm going to be an event manager. And I don't know what it is, but I'm so excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This more abstract idea to actually going on these field trips, doing internships, having great connections through mentorship programs. And then when they're done, they're ready and they're excited about the field.
Yeah, that's what I like about what you're doing, Sachel, is that you're giving people, and this is the first time I've heard of this, is you're giving people options and you're giving them a career path, and you're giving them choices that they may not necessarily have if they do the generic courses. So that's fantastic. Martijn, what are you saying, especially through the eyes of ITT, when it comes to attracting or getting young people into the industry?
I think just to come back to you, Satchel, that you are doing a great job that you are taking them for 4 years, because I think the people can do it or can't do this job, and they like it or they don't like this job. And there's not a lot in between, because if you are somewhere in between, then you are hurting yourself, because it's going so
Yeah.
fast and you need to be so sharp. So that you giving them a period of 4 years to give yourself a soft landing, so to say, and to teach and to look which area you are liking. So I think that is the most beautiful tactic that we can have.
Yeah.
And what I see also after COVID, that it's also a little bit changed. Also, the mentality of the younger people changed a little bit. And this industry and this job is taking a lot of you, also privately. So it's not a 9 to 5 job. And I think that people need to be really willing to do this and really loving to do this, to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. In terms of, we all mentioned that we have an image problem. Are we really competing against other industries? Okay, or do we need to look internally and do a better job of promoting ourselves? Or is it that the digital industry is taking more people? Or is it the fact that we're not doing a good enough job in terms of promoting our industry? So, Steve, if you want to take that up.
I I think, I mean, it is a challenge because most of the events that we do are controlled attendance events. So
Yeah,
the general public can't see it. So it's
yeah,
hard to promote a thing that people can't see.
yeah,
That and that a lot of the activations that are publicity stunts, or it's an activation in Midtown Manhattan, everyone can see it. So then that's
yeah,
what everybody thinks it is.
yeah,
They think it's the circus, like Satchel said, but it's not really the circus. Or that we lose out to people who are only doing those
yeah,
events. That's
yeah,
I I don't know. I don't know how to solve the problem. I think that we could promote ourselves better, but I don't know how we can promote it when people don't even know what it is.
yeah, yeah. Where does that start, Satchel? Does it start at high school level, okay, or does that start, when they've had their taste of the first or the second job in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do is we create meaningful experiences for brands, but nobody really understands the company that created that. And, you know, and so if you go to a PGA event or something and see an activation there, you go to Coachella and you see all these
Mm-hmm.
different activations that are popping up, and you're not going to fully understand it. And I think that that's okay. I think earlier exposure, our job is to maximize opportunities for people to learn about what we're doing. Oftentimes we'll do one thing, and that's great that we're doing one thing, but so much of what we do in life goes unnoticed. And so we need to constantly be maximizing opportunities, plural, to for this kind of outreach, and we need to think about, how can we make high schoolers aware of this. We're getting a student from Massachusetts in the fall, and she does a apprentice program with Access TCA. And so she, through high school, got exposed to our industry and said, I love this. This is what I want to do. I love the design side of it. I love the project management side of it. I want to be able to do this from end to end. And they said, well, then you got to go to Bemidji. You know what I mean? And so she's coming in the fall, and she's going to be extraordinary when she graduates. And so that's an example of just kind of this early high school outreach, the mentorship programs. Mentorship can happen in high school, it can happen in college, but it can also happen at companies. I'm kind of seeing, so that there's this K-shaped economy that kind of talks about, there's two basic paths that people are going financially. But I also think about the future workforce following a similar shape,
Mm-hmm.
in that you're going to have some employees that just launch, and you're going to have some employees that just slide. And there's a lot of conversation about the future of higher ed. And I think that there's never been a time that higher ed is more needed, because in order for companies to hire you in an AI world, you have to be ready, and you have to hope that the company you're going to work for is going to be investing in mentorship, and that you were mentored in college. And there's all
Mm-hmm.
these things that need to happen for you to launch. And if you can launch, that means that you're multidisciplinary. It means you're really good at one thing, but you can adapt and you can do lots of things as well. You can wear many hats. And but if you can't and you're going to slide, I don't know how forgiving the future is going to be for you. And that is just a question that I have. If we have these two different these two different paths that people are going, where does a place like higher ed fit? And I think
Mm-hmm.
higher ed is going to be that institution that is going to help you launch and to help you be a jack of all trades, master of one. And so that's kind of my thought.
Just on that, um, does the future workforce, as you mentioned, be multidisciplinarian? Okay, learn lots and lots of different things, so
Mm-hmm.
they can offer more value to the employer, or rather than just one skill, be a specialist like a designer or something like that. So, Martin, what do you at the inside? What do you? I mean, do you have specialists, or do you actually go for multi-skilled people?
We have specialists, so a
Yeah,
designer is good in
yeah,
designing, but if you look at how the rules and regs are changing, the designer is
yeah,
also going more to the path of a project manager, or
yeah,
because they really need to know what they're doing. They can't make a beautiful design and say, hey, here you go, project manager, enjoy. So I
yeah,
think you need to work more and more in teams and learn from each other and educate each other, so your end
Mm-hmm.
product will be going to a higher stage, but also your employees.
yeah, yeah. And does that mean that they have a better job satisfaction, do you think, where they're actually involved in multidisciplines and they get like a different environment, for example, each day?
Depending of the person, of course, some people really
Yeah,
wants to do only one thing and that's it, and they
yeah,
want to work 9 to 5,
yeah,
and but other people want to learn.
yeah,
In our company, we've got also project managers that are also going also a little bit more to the sales side and
yeah,
taking it over because they like it and they see that how it's working and it's interesting, and they're building relationships with clients. And They also do some technical drawing by themselves because they want to learn, they want to explore, they want to be fast. They don't want to wait on the technical drawer to make their drawing. So you see that some also depending on the person, how they want to evaluate through an, I don't know the word of it, but to a multiple, help me, Steve.
Just
How do you
Skills, multiple
skills?
skills.
Well, I was
Yeah.
well, I was going to suggest this book. It's called The Art of Noticing,
Yeah.
and it's a whole book. It's pretty thick about what you were just saying. It's like it's how do you even know that these skills are needed, or how you have the curiosity to say, oh, you are a designer and you want to. I don't want to wait for that drawing. How are they doing that drawing? And it's just the curiosity. I think that's one thing that is key in this industry is actually noticing the things that need to be addressed. I think a lot of people expect things to be presented to them, and that a lot of life doesn't present itself. You have to see it.
Yeah. From a Deckel and Moneypenny point of view, Steve, how do you prefer to have specialists or do you prefer multi-skilled people in your team?
I think we're similar. I think you have to. The best people have on our team have gone through multiple roles, and they've developed in their role, and they understand their role, and they understand their teammates' role. It's just because it is a team, and you could be the best goalie in the world, but not understand what a midfielder does, and that you're not a very good goalie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it definitely needs to be when employers are looking at the, having a high performance team, they definitely need to look at all the skill sets and what value each person brings to the team, right?
Exactly.
And really focus on. This is the thing that we say when we look at building booth teams. We look at the overall picture in terms of who's going to say hello at the front of the booth, who's going to do the product demo, and it's the same with setting up a booth. You have a project manager, you have a designer, you have a hospitality person maybe, or lots and lots of different pieces of the jigsaw need putting together. So talking of which, we're seeing AI, we're looking at automation, we look at digital experiences and new production methods, across the industry. And they're changing very, very rapidly, And how is that affecting your viewpoint of the future workforce? Are you looking for those human skills? Do you give preference to those human skills, or are you looking for more digital skills? Let's kick off with Steve.
Okay. I mean, I feel that the human skills right now, I do feel like it's going to be critical. I do think we're all going to adopt AI, and AI is going to find its spot. When I go talk to colleges and students who are enrolled right now, I explain when I was their age, when I was in college, everything was transitioning from photomechanical production to digital. And that I really was lucky. I feel like I was lucky because I had a couple of years of photomechanical and I understood the principles of all of that. And then I had 2 years of digital. And then what they have is a great opportunity that they're transitioning from digital to AI. It's a great opportunity, but they do need to learn both. And I feel that our clients come to us because we come back with the unexpected answer. And AI is very good at delivering the expected answer. And so we don't, for most creativity, you have to understand the challenge and see the challenge. And I see AI doing a lot of things. I don't see them solving creative challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. Sachel?
I'm hopeful that we can use it to solve lots of problems. One of the things we're looking at is how do we have classes where we're asking new types of questions? Like one of the things I'm exploring is it's not uncommon in the creative process to develop a few personas. You'll hear that person A or person B, or Ted walks into the exhibit and comes to the reception counter first. And then oh, he's ready to buy, so he goes here and then there and so we kind of develop these persona profiles to give us um, to let us hypothesize or storyboard out what that experience would actually look like. And it wouldn't be uncommon to have 2 to 4 or 5 personas that each experience is a little bit different and layered for each persona and how their experience is going to be different. And I'm kind of posing to students is like, well, with AI, would it be possible that we actually don't have personas if there's 1,000 people going to attend the show or 20,000 people attending the show? Could we potentially have 20,000 personas and 20,000 different experiences? Because we all are going to go into experiences differently. And we, no matter how many attendees there are, everybody's going to have their own experience of the show. And what we try to do is create clusters with our personas. But with AI, is it possible to have basically infinite number of experiences? And what would that look like? And how could we create that? And where does privacy fit within that? And so we have these larger conversations. But then we also have classes where we strip out the technology entirely, and we have debate, and we use the Socratic method of just kind of, we're going to talk and you're going to actually have to show us how you think, and you're going to have to problem solve. Here's a pencil and here's a piece of paper, And so we have to be able to think about AI and from my perspective, we need to ensure that the students have those foundational skills, and so that AI isn't the first class you take. It's more of like the last classes you take once you've built that strong foundation and you know how to drive the car. And so, yes, we think about the automation of AI and what technical skills can need to stay and which ones need to be replaced, how AI can help us think more multidisciplinary and expand our skill sets. But, we use it's important that we have humans in the workplace so that we're ensuring that our designs are human centered and that we're actually managing a project for humans. This AI is going to eventually create a world with so much noise that every video you see, you don't know if it's going to be real or if it's not going to be real. And it's not that you're going to spend all your time freaking out about it, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to add a new value of togetherness, and we're going to have this renaissance like we are kind of experiencing of, let's get together with people, and there's nothing more authentic than hanging out with you guys in Tampa. You know what I mean? And so AI is just going to further that yearning for togetherness, but it's also going to be a tool that has its place, and to help us be more efficient and productive, but also effective.
Okay, great. So what we talked about there, because the whole exhibition industry is all about human beings. And what we are doing is creating experiences so that one human being can have a meeting with the other human being, right? So what we're missing, I think, in this day and age, and I was talking to Steve about this, is those human skills, okay? The need to, communicate, ask difficult questions to clients, okay? Because I work with many agencies, and they come to me with their clients' thoughts and ideas, and I push back and I say, look, I know human beings, and this won't actually be possible. Can you go back to your client and actually push them to say, I'm sorry, this won't be possible, but they struggle to do that, okay? So I think my question is, are we losing sight that, we still need those basic human-to-human communication skills where everything has been overloaded with AI and social media and things like that, that we're actually forgetting that we still need to teach our workforces the basic necessities of communication?
Yeah, of course. But I think AI is also the biggest tool we've got in our toolbox, because to engage with your clients and with your people, you need time. And that is something that you never have. You don't have time. So you can work faster, you can do things easier. with resulting that you can go deeper into conversations with your clients or with your staff to know really what you need and what you want. So I think it gives you also the opportunity to be more human, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I would agree with you. I think something that happened to me recently, I was playing chess with my youngest son, and he was mopping the floor with me. He was just taking every piece I had, and he said, "Look, stop thinking about what you want to do, and start thinking about why I just did what I did."
Yeah.
And I said, "Wow, okay, that's a you're learning. That's a good. I think that so many people in interactions right now, so many marketing things they're only thinking about what they want to say, but they're
Yeah.
not thinking about what the people want to hear. And
Yeah.
I think that is such a critical lesson that people need to learn
Yeah.
and I think that's a foundational thing. I mean, you're right. Like if you tell AI to help you with that, that's
Yeah.
great. But we need to teach people, like Sachel was saying, you have to teach with the pencil, and then you can learn with
Yeah.
the AI.
Steve, one thing that you said that resonated with me before the call was that people need to learn how to read the room.
Right.
So AI can't teach you that, right?
No.
So yes, tell us a bit more about your experience in terms of what you actually meant by reading the room.
Well, I think when you're presenting or when you're in a booth, when you're doing anything, you're checking their body language. You're seeing, are they nodding? Are they looking at you? Are they looking away? What are they doing? And when you say something, the thing that you're getting ready to say is impactful
Yeah.
or not. Did it
Yeah.
resonate? Can you see the
Yeah.
ripple? Did you see the pebble go in the water and resonate?
Yeah.
Or did you see
Yeah.
a pebble, no ripples?
Yeah.
And
And
that
that's
when
sorry.
people lean back or understanding body language, because we can't control so much of body language.
Yeah.
But Steve, is it also something that our younger generation think it's difficult because they are looking constantly on their screens? And if you ask somebody, can you call somebody? They
Yes.
say, I will send a text. So, you know what I mean? So it's also going to be really an important skill that we don't need to forget to read room. I think that is the most critical one. And I see that we are losing that really fast at the moment. And how do you
Yeah.
read a room with youngsters that only know how to look on a screen?
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. And I have said that, it's what you just said is I'll say we're doing something, working a project. There's a very challenging decision to be made. It's going to be very hard to get the point across. And then I'll say, hey, can you call them or go to their office and talk them through this? And then they'll say, oh, they said no. And I said, how did they say? And they go, oh, well, I texted them. I said, well, I didn't say to do that. Of course they said no.
Sachel, any thoughts? What aspect of communication skills are embedded in your courses?
This is one of the things. So I have participation points in my class, for example. And if students show up, participate, great. If they show up and are on their devices or whatever, they'll lose some credit. And if for whatever reason they are unable to come to class, I don't care what the reason is, but they have to call and leave a voicemail on
Yeah.
my phone, or they have to call me. And if I'm in my office, I'll pick up my phone. And it's really, really interesting. It's so funny. I'll have a student say, I've never left a voicemail before. You know what
Oh
I
my
mean?
Wow.
God.
And I'm like, it's one of the highlights. And then I also have what's called it's a no call no show, where they basically don't show up to class and don't let me know beforehand. And then I'll actually reach out and I'm like, I don't really care what the reason is, but I need you to tell me what's
Oh
going
my
on,
God.
and
Yeah.
then I'm not worried. But it is very interesting how this idea of leaving a voicemail or calling me is something that is difficult. And, that's where, when we oftentimes we have mentorship programs at Bemidji State University, which are great, but we
Mm-hmm.
also need to think of mentorship as part of our infrastructure to ensure that the ecosystem of jobs that we have within our organizations are successful. There's the ecosystem of jobs within our industry, but then we have our own ecosystem within our workplace. And how are we incorporating mentorship? And one of the things that I worry about is AI is causing people to be so productive and they're so tied to it that they sometimes aren't thinking about the larger ecosystem. And AI can be a partner in their work, which is great, but you have to think about how the ecosystem of people within your organization are interacting and how they can communicate with each other, which that requires mentorship. And we can laugh about it and be like, oh, I can't believe a voicemail, but it's like it's real, and we have to actually mentor them rather than complain about it. And we need to because they do have lots of talents that we do love about they think talking about sustainability is so ingrained in their whole entire life because they grew up thinking about sustainability, so there are lots of qualities that they could mentor us in, but then there's also qualities that we have to mentor that into them, so to speak. And when we think about this idea of talent, just the word, it seems like it's something that is so solid, until we start having conversations about it. And then it's like holding water or fog, you know what I mean? It's just hard to grasp, and when we think about what talents we want, is it something that they have innately, or is it something that they need to get mentored? And sometimes AI can help mentor them and be that tool that fills those gaps. But like things like curiosity, just connecting the dots and pattern recognition, they may have that talent or they may need that talent. And just persistence, adaptability, intelligence, emotional intelligence, technical skills. This is software, 2D, 3D, email, you know what I mean? And just how do we maximize opportunities so that they have these talents when either before they come to us, and maybe that's our job as a university, or is it something that you learn more on the job? And just, how do we make sure that they can navigate with confidence, because you ask them to do something so simple, like call them. And they're like, oh, I texted them, and it's like, no, I actually want you to call them just to make a connection, because so I have a company, and when I call a customer, they ask about my family and I ask about theirs, and we build a different type of relationship than beyond just the work. And those are the lasting relationships that people want to have for decades. And it is a way to not just provide a product based on price, is you're providing an experience that people are willing to pay for.
But also a part of trust, because you're trusting each other, because you've got a kind of relationships together. And it is not about the booth. It is all about the points you are saying and about the trust that you have together.
Exactly. It's actually, you're 100% right. That's what when I had that interaction and they texted, I said, it's 30% easier to text NO than YES.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's talk about leadership expectations. So how have your perspectives changed given what's happened since COVID, since the increase in AI usage? What, in terms of your mindset as business leaders, Martijn and Steve, how are you thinking differently in terms of your future, the future of your business?
The people before and after COVID are totally two separated different people. Is it sometimes my perspective, or is it really the case? I'm still searching for it. And I think our industry is really the face-to-face, really interactive, but that really interactive part is grabbed away through COVID. And I think we really need to invent everybody, and the youngsters, but also the older people, to engage again, to cuddle again, to be human again, if you know what I mean. And that's a big challenge. And I think, how are you going to do that? Because that is also a different topic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Steve? That the connection is gone, and we need to reconnected again?
I totally agree. I think that a lot of people, society in general, like we forgot how to do so many things that were critical to a society functioning, and where there's just a basic human need for connection.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that it's a lot of societies. One of the worst punishments they can do is put you in a prison and take you away from people and make you solitary. And that's it's such a we crave it. We crave it. And I think that before the pandemic, in my business, the business goes back to the 1960s before I was around, and that we were specialists and people that were doing a TV commercial or a magazine ad, that they would hire us to do the exhibit and help them with those things. But then some people were hiring us, and our specialty was help to develop the solution. And then what I noticed in the pandemic is the people that we were more of a value and we were more of an agency for, they figured out a way to keep us engaged, and that we did other things even when we couldn't do exhibits. But the people who only thought of us as the people who built exhibits, they forgot our phone number.
Mm.
And then they came back after. So then when they came back, we still work with some of them, but we really have doubled down and focused on the people that see us as something more than that.
Yeah. When I think about the next, their ability to identify through their real self in the real world, going places, calling real people, and meeting at the wherever the event is, I is interesting because they are also identifying with their virtual selves. There are things that they will do and say in the real world that
Mm-hmm.
is maybe a little bit different than the things that they'll do or say online or through their virtual self. And we have a generation that's coming through that identifies, I'll just say, just as much with their virtual self as their real self.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be more, but I'll just say that it's as much. And that creates an interesting dynamic. And one of the thought exercises I have is like, what do we do with future generations that identify more with their virtual self than their real self? And what are the implications for us in the event industry if people are maybe spending less time in the real world? And one of the things that I have found is that these students, people, when they get together and they go to Euroshop or they go to Exhibitor Live or they go to SEMA, it doesn't really matter what the event is, they feel so alive and they have such a good time and they're building core memories that they glob onto
Mm-hmm.
and will for the rest of their life. And that gives me a ton of hope for our industry, because just because they identify with their virtual self as much as their real self, when they are their real self in meaningful events that we create, they absolutely are energized and feel purpose. And it really makes me hopeful for the future. And we just kind of need to, when we're thinking about developing talent, is we just need to assume that it is developmental. Think of it more like a seed than like a statue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're not necessarily finding talent. Is Yeah, we want to find some talent, but we also need to be committed to cultivating it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that takes energy and that takes resources and that takes thought.
Yeah.
And I'm willing, as a university professor, I'm definitely think about the role of schools and employers. And I think of this as a partnership. And you guys know that about me. And that's one of the things, the more we can blur academia and industry, the better off we're both going to be. But it's all based on this assumption that talent needs to be cultivated. And yes, we are to some degree dependent upon I'll just say, raw materials coming through the front door, not to be dehumanizing, but you get what I'm saying. But the student that comes through the door, we're going to work with that student and we're going to cultivate that student to be as successful and see where they fit within the ecosystem of jobs that we offer.
Yeah, Sachel, it's great that you've hit the nail on the head there because just going back, it's all about one thing I got taught a long time ago in my sales career was that it's all about taking that approach of farming, okay? Because you plant the seed, you nurture, you water it, and then you see it blossom, and then you see the harvest, right? So it's exactly the same principle that we should be looking at as an industry when it comes to attracting new talent and keeping them in the industry and not losing them to technology and everything else. Do you agree, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I think it's a long-term prospect whenever we're working with a university. That's why I tell everybody on my team is don't expect anything for years.
Yeah, yeah,
You're gonna have to plant these seeds and you're gonna harvest them
yeah,
in 5 years.
yeah. What role can IFES and EDPA and other industry associations play in this long-term perspective, do you think?
I think what one thing that it's a great to have these EDP and IFES, the associations, is that member companies can, on behalf of IFES and EDPA, go contact universities and say, this is not just a self-serving, this is not just a me thing.
Yeah,
This is an entire industry and this is an entire association. And that whether you work with us or you work with the inside, you need to get it. This is a great career path. And
yeah,
this is in just more of a general about the industry. And I think that the in member companies doing that, that's really going to solve. And like working with universities and say, and being their mentor, like Sachel was calling out and commending access, is that member companies on behalf of associations, that's how it's going to get done, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think that's more power. Martijn, what are you doing with ITT, and do you think there's a role for them to play as well?
I think a good thing that we can mention, Steve, is that we did an internship with Young
Oh,
Talent,
yeah.
and we did it together also with Paco from Happy Projects, and we sent
Yes.
over talent to each other's company and look around, help each other, learn from each other, a different culture, and then you also give that talent also more tools to be more in love with this industry and also know how it works on the other side of the pond, for example. And I think
Yeah,
that was also a really nice thing that we did to give them a chance to experience that. And I'm sometimes, if you are asking me the same question, what you did the first question, what was I'm frustrating for is that I'm frustrated that I didn't found this industry earlier in my career.
Mm.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
is really what's frustrating me. And I hope that we can change it a little bit. Even a couple of them helping to touch this beautiful industry.
yeah. Well, I started when I was 38, so a lot later than you when you found me. So, Satchel, any thoughts on that in terms of how associations and universities can work together?
Yeah, so Bemidji State University works closely with both the EDPA and IFES, and it's interesting how we work with the same companies, but when we're within those two different associations, how the things we talk about are a little bit different. And, IFES is such a great opportunity to just serve as that global connector. And that's between education, between how the industry varies, how what does innovation look like? We had a class, Steve Riches and I taught it together. Martin was a part of it, and we just went to different places around the world and just learned about the exhibition event experiential industry. And we would discuss something simple with like everyone. Let's just talk about like dwell time, is how much time are people
Mhm.
spending in the space, and how does that impact the experience? And for example, in America, they're going to spend much less time in a trade show exhibit. The hours of the show are much shorter. And when we go to Euroshop, it's all day. And when I go into the inside exhibit, Martin is like, come on, sit down, stay a while. And like, I'm hanging out in there like for an hour. You know what I mean? And how is that different from different parts of the world? And then just understanding the infrastructure, we learned about South Africa, and just they don't have the convention centers like other parts of the world, and though, and how important that is. And much of what they're doing in South Africa is sometimes they're building a structure just to have the event inside of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just being really aware of how important that hardware is so that the exhibits can be the software inside of it and make it work. And IFES is just such a great opportunity for us to learn internationally. And it's important for my students who maybe are much less traveled to have people from around the world share their ideas with them. It just makes them feel like they have purpose. It makes them want to be a part of the industry. So that global exposure is just so important. Just kind of thinking more, IFES has an opportunity for just to like think much more long term. I think so much of the decision making that happens is just so short term. It's like what's the fire we got to put out right now, and IFES can allow us to zoom out a little bit and start thinking about how we can invest in future generations and thinking with much more intentionality. And I'm really hopeful and grateful for being able to be a part of this podcast and being able to be a part of the IFES community, because I've learned so much, and they've are teaching my students how important a connected global community is.
Excellent. Thank you, Sachel. So we're going to finish off. Thank you again for all your perspectives. I'm going to finish off with a quick fire round of questions for all of you. So my first question is, looking at the perspective of young people, what is the one skill that you would recommend a young professional entering exhibitions? What one skill should they develop that will take them very far in their career in the exhibition industry? Steve?
No, I mean, I got to go back to the interpersonal communication. That's really going to help them in so many things, and just being able to one-on-one conversations. Yeah.
Okay, great. Martijn?
I think also listen to your colleagues because they already made all the mistakes they could make.
Yeah.
So just listen and say, if somebody say go right, go right. And I think that is don't invent the wheel again, because that takes you a lot of time, and everybody knows already a little bit how it works. So
Excellent. Sachel?
I think it's extremely important that they master the ecosystem. It is so important it's so easy for students and for people to think about what their job is in a silo. And rather than thinking of it as a liquefied network of ideas that work in and out of each other. And so somebody in the industry, a skill that if they can fully understand the entire ecosystem that's required to come up with the idea, customer says they love it, then the ecosystem for the build out, and then the ecosystem of the show floor and the implementation, and then the ecosystem for showtime. So often we're so fixated on coming up with the idea, building it, actually shipping it, constructing it on the show floor, and then we're like hand the keys over to the customer, and we're like, we're done. And it's like, well, we just put in all this energy, and it's like we got the theater already, we did all the stuff, we got the actors and all this stuff, but then when the play happens, we're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is be mindful of the entire ecosystem throughout the different phases, and how, when it's showtime, how can we be active participants in ensuring the experience that we want people to have actually happens? What do we want people to think, feel, know, do, and why? And how do we actually make sure that it happens?
Right.
And so if you can really master that ecosystem of all the different people involved, everything else will kind of start taking care of itself. You'll figure out where you fit in it, what skills you have to span a few different spaces within that ecosystem. And just spanning a few spaces in the ecosystem, then you're going to make yourself invaluable.
Absolutely. I'm glad you finished with that, because if you know the ecosystem inside out, you can add far more value to your clients and to your team as well, right? Fantastic. And at the beginning, I mentioned what frustrates you the most about the industry. So I'm going to finish the podcast with asking you, what is the one thing that really excites you about the industry moving forward? Sachel, if you want to kick off with that one.
Yeah, so I started my quest in the industry trying to better understand this word experience. I spent 2 years traveling I spent a portion of it on a Greyhound bus and a portion of it on an Amtrak train, going from one show to the next. And I've learned that our industry is a great space for learning about what experiences are. And I'm so excited that we've transitioned from our industry being about sawdust on the floor to being about making people feel alive. And that's only going to get um, lit on fire or further exposed as we move forward, and for the companies that are going to be successful.
Fantastic. Steve?
I would just agree. I mean, just to build on what we've all been saying, is that with the ITT and the future workforce with EDPA, what excites me the most about the future is the people coming in the industry, the younger people. They're very willing and able to challenge the status quo, and I think that's great. But to build on what you said, Lee, is like you have to know the rules to challenge the rules.
Yeah.
And just challenging the rules isn't enough. And understanding what the rules, why they were there, and I think Martin or Sachel, we've all made these mistakes. So learning and understanding, but then challenging, I think that is exciting.
Martijn?
Yeah, it's really exciting that we have that we can create every day for different brands and fantastic decor, because that is what we are doing, and we can let people shine. And and I'm really happy that we can also learn youngsters to make that decor. And I think it's really interesting that the decor, how it looks now, will be so different in 10 or 15 years. And we don't know how it will look. And that makes me really excited. So you don't know what the future brings, but I think the future will be bright.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank
Just
you
like
so
the
much
sun.
for. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time and all your perspectives. And if our viewers and fellow IFES members would like to connect with you, how can they find you, Steve?
Well, I'm on the IFES member net page, and just on LinkedIn, look for Steve Deckel, Deckel Moneypenny.
Excellent. Sachel?
You can call me the old-fashioned way.
Do you want to leave your number?
Findable. I'm the only Satchel around, and if you look up Bemidji State University, again in northern Minnesota, you can email me, call me, and would love to connect. Again, what makes me love the industry so much is the wonderful people that I've gotten to meet along the way.
Fantastic. And Martijn?
Yeah, you can find me also on the IFES website, or visiting our website, www.theinside.com. And you can find my phone number there.
Okay, fantastic. Guys, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you again for your time and your perspectives. And I look forward to seeing you on the show floor. And there you have it. What an amazing conversation. What stood out from today's discussion is that the future of our industry won't be determined by technology alone. It will actually be shaped by people. Our guests highlighted the importance of communication, curiosity, mentorship, adaptability, and a willingness to keep learning. They also reminded us that attracting talent is only the beginning. Developing, nurturing, and inspiring that talent is where long-term success is created. Perhaps the biggest challenge facing exhibitions isn't a shortage of talent. It's ensuring that more people discover an industry that they never knew existed. My thanks to Steve Deckel, Martijn Besaris and Sachel Josefson for sharing their insights and experiences. And thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this first episode, please subscribe and share it with your colleagues and connect with the IFES community online for more conversations shaping the future of exhibitions and events. Until next time, I'm Lee Ali, and this has been Beyond the Booth.